Hi, friends. There I am. How are you? Welcome back to Pink and Main's YouTube or Facebook channel, wherever you're watching from. I am so excited to be back with you tonight, doing something that is near and dear to my heart. We are going to be making a flat shaker card, and I feel like a lot of people think that shaker cards in general are finicky and difficult to make, and the flat shakers are my favorite, and I think they're super easy. And so I'm here to show you what I've learned. So I see lots of people in the chat already. I saw Virginia and Heather catching up early. Susan's watching because she wants to make lots of shakers. You are in the right place. Hey, Mary. I also saw Virginia and Heather talking about the Card Maker Success Summit. I don't feel bad giving that one final plug to you guys because I do use some Pink and Main products in my Card Maker class, my Summit class. So for anybody who hasn't seen heard of this before, I am teaching a class on Saturday morning. The way it works is the videos go live at 8 a.m. Eastern, and if you get a free ticket, you can just sign up for free. You can have 24 hours to watch that. I am teaching a shaker class in there. That one is more scene based, so incorporating a shaker element into a scene seamlessly for a Halloween card, go figure. And like I said, I do use some Pink and Main products and my supplies for that. So there is still time to sign up for free. If you want VIP access, you can always upgrade, but the tickets are available. Any of my social medias that are listed in this description of wherever you're watching also has links to reserve your free ticket. That is my plug. I will leave it at that. Thank you, Heather and Virginia, for a lovely segue into that. Okay, so we are going to go into our shaker cards. Let me flip this back over. I also see Connie checking in, Michelle, Maria, Julianne. Everybody's here tonight. Another Michelle. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so I brought back one of my favorite sentiment stamps. Wow, today's one of those days that I've ever used. This is the Stay Strong stamp set. I absolutely love this. So I wanted a bold sentiment to kind of be able to carry the weight of this card and support kind of the shaker element without taking away from it. So this is what we'll be using. We're going to do a two-toned sentiment, which you guys know I love. I'm going to be ink blending my background. So I grabbed the candy stripe stencil, but we of course are going to flip it and use it to turn it into a plaid, because that is my favorite thing to do. And the only things that you need to make a flat shaker card specifically is some kind of dry adhesive. So I have the 1/4 inch tape here. I have that linked in the supplies list if you need some. It should be the 1/4 inch. I might have put the 1/8 inch, but either will work. Or you can use like a Tombow tape runner if you have that. Liquid glue will take a little too long to dry, so you want some kind of tape. You need a piece of old stamp packaging, right? These plastic sleeves that all of our stencils and embossing folders and stamp sets come in. I have a sneaking suspicion we all have some of these, or if we start remembering to keep them, we could all very quickly have a stash of these ready to go. And then your shaker bits. So I only have the pearls and gems from Pink and Main, but they do have a sequin, flat sequin like wheel. I put that in the supply list too. These I have look so close to the orange ones in that wheel that I figured that's what we would use. But if you really like these, check out that wheel because it has a beautiful rainbow mixture of colors. But I thought that would work really well with our dress shop and our construction. And we'll just kind of have this summery, happy kind of encouragement shaker card. That's the plan. So the first step of what we need to do is to trim down our background panel. I grabbed this scrap of that I had too, and I think that'll fit pretty much any of these sentiments. So whatever we decide to go with will fit on there. We'll die cut it. Heather said she keeps all of her packaging in a large manila envelope. That is absolutely perfect. You can make your flat shaker the size of your whole card panel, or you can make it a smaller shaker that fits on the front of your panel. So I'm trying to think if I have a flat shaker of one or the other here. I do. It's another brand's, but I think Michelle would be okay because it's for just visual purposes today. I think she would understand. Yeah. All right. So when I say a little bit smaller, something like this, where you see that mat around, you can make your panel a little bit smaller so that it doesn't touch the edges, or you can make your panel run all the way to the edge. So I think for what we're going to do, I'm going to make it go all the way edge to edge, but just know you can trim down your base panel to any size. I've also done these with mini slim lines, full slim lines, whatever you want. This technique works for any and all of that. But if we're going to go edge to edge, I actually need to make a card base. So let's get another piece of ice rink cardstock while we're trimming. All right, so this is already 5.5 that way. So we're going to cut this to 4.5. That's our card front, our shaker. We're going to take this full sheet of 8.5 by 11 and cut that at 5.5. Then we're going to score it and make our card base. Here's my scoring buddy. All right. I keep all of my extra packaging in like a little bin from Target that has all of my like stamp envelopes, like my sturdier ones, and my magnetic sheets for my dies and all that. I just keep all of that in one bin. So I'm going to score this at 4.25. Tuck it into the corner of my scoring board. Line up that side so it hugs it. It keeps it nice and straight. I gave it one good score in the board and then pull it out so that I can score it on my table. And that usually gets me a pretty even flat score. All right, that's going to go to the side for now. We need these. So let's start with our ink blending, then we'll go to our ink stamping. We need some tape, some washi tape. I'm going to use this Spellbinders tape. It's a little stickier than I would usually go for, but I keep forgetting to pull out. I have a ton. I just keep forgetting to pull out more washi tape. So I'm adhering this to like the back of my card base, or my card front panel, so that this part on the top now is sticky. So that way I can line up my stencil and get that into place. I'm going to, I think I want pink for my background, and we'll do the ombre. I think mixing the colors might be a little much for my plaid. I don't know, let's see how it goes. So I'm loading up my brush with the Dress Shop ink, And then I am, instead of doing circles like I normally would, I am going to brush in the same line and direction as my candy stripe lines. If you have pixie spray, this is definitely one of those stencils that would really benefit from a good pixie spray. Pixie spray is like a low tack adhesive spray that you can spray on the back of your stencils, and it helps to hold them in place. I don't have that, but if I did, this is a stencil I would 100% use it for. Okay. And honestly, because this is going to be a shaker, this doesn't have to be the world's best blend, which is a good. It's not going to be. I can just already tell. I also just then was not careful about keeping my fingers off of my stencil and my card. You want to be careful with that because you will leave, these are water reactive inks. And so you will 100% leave fingerprints if you touch over your blend. You also don't have to ink your background. You could do a plain cardstock background. You could do a pattern paper background. You could do an embossed, heat embossed or dry embossed. Literally any background will work for this. So there is our first direction. Now I want to switch it to this way, and I'm just keeping in mind where those little holes are to put it in the binder. Making sure that I did that still ink side up. Probably should have checked that before I pressed down. You know what, let's just go for it. Never mind, because then I'd have to clean off my stencil. We'll stick with pink, it'll be okay. So same thing going this direction. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a lighter hand this time, lighter amount of ink. I think this helps to play up the plaid feel. I just love regular stripes, like where they're all the same size, like they're all the same width, don't give a proper plaid feel to me. When you make them like crisscross, it just looks like a checkerboard or something. But this having the thin and the thick stripes together really just is like, so many companies will sell like 2 separate stamps that you layer, or 4 stamps that you like layer. That's not right. 2 stencils that you layer and flip to get a thick and a thin. And I just love that you can do all of it in one go with this one. That's the words that I wanted. So maybe to add in our orange, we'll just take a little bit of this one and we'll do like a little central ombre under where our sentiment is going to go. Right, I feel like pretty much any sentiment we use, it'll have just like a little glow around it. Perfect. Right, Linda? Exactly. The plaid stamp, if you can get like a background stamp or one of these stencils where you can do everything with like that one or two passes, like a game changer. All right, let me set that to the side. And I'm gonna spray my fingers with a little bit of water on my microfiber towel just to try to get some of that extra ink off. My thumb is like all pink. Okay. So there's our background. Now we're going to stamp our sentiment. And I really like doing my two-toned sentiments with those brushes. So I have a friend who just got some bad news today. So let's do Stay Strong, and I'll give this to her. Oh yeah, you could absolutely do a foil panel, Julian. That is absolutely correct. You could do the shimmer on top of the foil. Because I was trying to pick a sequin mix that looked like something from Pink and Main, I didn't have any foil panels that I felt like it went, like foil colors that I felt like it went perfectly with. If I had the whole wheel and I had that purple, 100% we could do foil. Do I do foil first or ink first? Which foil, Leslie? Like if you were going to foil your back panel? Or do you mean like the plastic that we're going to use for our shaker? So I'm stamping my sentiment with my ink and I'm going back in with my brush and I'm just tapping where that color ends. Using a hot foil plate. I've never actually used a hot foil plate, so I do not know. I have the mini Mink from Pink and Main and Mink, the Mink foiling system, which is like a laminator. So you don't have to use a hot plate for that. You run it through like a laminator. So now I'm stamping the bottom and going in with my orange brush and tapping that color from the center. Just like that, that beautiful kind of sunset ombre. I love that. That's really fun. Take off this extra ink. If you're using a foilable and you were going to ink blend your cardstock, I would foil it first and then ink blend on top if you were going to try to ink blend to change the color. Or you could just leave the white of your foilable if that's what you wanted to do. If you wanted it white, you could just leave it. But if you wanted to add another color to it, we've done that here before and I ink blended afterwards. All right, so now we have to find Stay Strong. And I chopped up this back panel to try to get them to fit. I think it's that though. Yep, that looks like Stay Strong. Good old piece of tape. Sorry, Linda. Yeah. I should try to be better about adding pictures like to the screen so that everybody can see. Leslie had asked if you were going to foil, would it be better to do your foilable and your foil first or ink blending first? And so I said I would definitely put my foil down first because it will resist the ink. And then you could ink blend onto your paper and just wipe off any excess ink from the top as if it was like an embossing, melted embossing powder. It'll resist all of that ink. by cutting my sentiment, which is giving me really strong like sherbet feels of this. Yep, I see Dawn checking in. Linda. Paints and glitter. That's a great tube name. Put my brushes away. And now to our shaker. This is going to be one of the fastest videos we've done in a while. Which is ironic because it's going to look like a lot. So I'm sorry. I start peeling. I open up the bottom of my packaging. And on either of the seams, if you just kind of pull right at the edge of that seam, you can pull the whole way up. And then when you get to that top part where the little like hanger bit is, they almost always have this like seal, the little lines. You can just pull that right apart. So now we have two pieces that we can make shakers out of. This one in particular has a hole punch in it. Not all of them do, but you want to be, you're able to see it there. No, of course not. Just trust me, there's a hole punch in it. We're going to be really mindful of where we're placing this so that the hole punch is not on our card. And this is pretty close to perfect. So I'm going to trim a little off of this edge because I don't want where this got folded over. Just like that. So that's right there. And I'm gonna make myself a little mark. You just want between, I'd say around a ½ inch. If you can get around a ½ inch in each direction, you're gonna have a pretty easy time folding this over. If you go really thick, it just makes it a little more bulky. It's not bad. It just doesn't always lay as flat. And I like these to be a flat shaker. It makes shipping it so much easier. So I'm going to take my double-sided tape and we're going to go over all of these edges, making kind of like a frame all the way around. Do you guys know how I knew today was going to be a good day? I don't know if anybody else watching is a Swiftie, but Taylor announced her 1989 album, and her version is coming out in October, just in time for Halloween. And it's like she gave me a gift. It's just for me for Halloween. What a great Halloween present. Hey, Irma. Hey, Cam. No worries about being late. You are not late. We are still working on building up our shaker. So I'm just taking the backing off of my adhesive, and you can kind of see that adhesive runs right up to the edge on all of these corners. We are going to place this upside down. And it doesn't matter which way your panel's facing, you're going to be able to spin it later. So don't worry about that part. We're going to fold 3 of these sides over. And I want to fold it. I don't want it to be like super loose and wiggly, but I don't want to pull it so tight that those shaker bits won't have room to move at all, because you can kind of suffocate them in there. So I'm just kind of folding it over and letting it go where it wants. So not pulling on the paper, not pulling hard on the plastic, just folding. And we're going to leave the top edge open. So now is when I'm going to take my shaker bits. Like I said, these are not the exact ones from Pink and Main, but they look so close to the ones in the rock rainbow candy, I think it's called, little wheel. And so I like to fill up a good bit and then kind of hold the top in place and give it a little shake and see, like, when it's shaking around, how much is it moving? When they're all kind of in one level, how much is being covered? I think we could do a little bit more just because I'm not worried about any images being covered, right? Our sentiment's going to go on the front. You could definitely put your sentiment inside too, but I think it's more impactful if you put it on the top of the plastic. So I'm going to shake this a little bit so that it kind of flattens out. If any pieces are kind of like stuck sideways, you want to kind of squish them back down too. We're going to do a quick flip, make sure nothing feels like it's standing up, and then flip that over. Rainbow confetti gems. Oh, Virginia, yeah, I understand that. It's definitely hard not to do them too tight. Well, not hard, but it definitely takes some practice. So the next thing you want to do is all of your corners will have these little flappy bits that are just kind of hanging where this part didn't stick because the plastic underneath was already stuck. And so all I'm doing is taking my scissors kind of right in between that. This is hard to show you when it's clear. And just snipping that little corner flap off. This again is not necessary. It'll just make everything lay a lot nicer and more flat on your card base. So there's our shaker. It's a happy little shakety shake. I really like those colors all together. You can use something like Touch of Gloss to adhere your sentiment, but honestly, I find that the double-sided tape or Tombow adhesive or whatever tape runner you want to use works pretty good. I haven't ever had an issue with anything coming up off of my plastic. Sometimes people will say with acetate, you have to be like really careful what you adhere it with, but for packaging, maybe because it's thinner and kind of moves with everything a little easier, I haven't had issues. So we're gonna take the backing off of that. Man, we have a really good crowd tonight. I saw Beverly, Debbie. All right, we're gonna pop this right in the middle. That looks pretty good. I left it there, but I didn't push down yet. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Leslie. Yeah. So I'm using leftover stamp packaging. Let's see, what do I have over here that's not going to get me in trouble? So like if your stamps come in a plastic sleeve like that, it's just that outer plastic layer cut in half or torn in half. All right, for the back, we're going to use more. You know what? You can use more. I'm going to use my Tombow adhesive just because it's so much faster than sealing off all that backing tape. But you use what you have. Okay. I'm going to line the edge of my shaker up with the edge of my card where it's folded. And then lay it down. So like on this one, you can see on the top, it's just the tiniest bit off. but honestly, like I think it looks pretty good. And I'd be worried that if I was going to trim it, I might catch the plastic, but I don't really think it takes away from it at all. We still have this really fun flat shaker, all those pretty sequins inside. You can have plenty of room for whatever your little message is, right, Leslie? That's why I love using the packaging. Leslie said she may or may not have like 100 of these sleeves sitting around. I feel like we all do, or we could if we put our minds to saving them. So I keep almost all of mine and use them this way. So it's recycling. It means it's good for the planet if you make flat shaker cards. You're doing your part for the world. You're saving the turtles with every shaker card that you make. So yeah, that is it. It's that easy. I know a lot of people will try to do foam and have like a thick shaker, and those definitely have their space in our craft. If you're going to put like big chunky pearls or clay pieces that are bigger, sometimes you want that extra dimension and room. Sometimes you don't need that. So if you have some flat sequins or sequin mixes or flat clay pieces, 100% they will work for this. And it's just so fun to get, and they're so easy to send. That's literally zero bulk. You could put this in a regular envelope, send it regular stamp, and it's not, nothing's going to happen. No bulk added. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I think that it's fun. Like I said, you can also use sequin mixes like this in scenes, so keep that in mind too. Yeah, there we go. So that wraps up our card for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, our little flat shaker card. I will be back here next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern with sneak peeks. It's sneak peek week already. I'm so excited. I can't believe August is going by so fast already. But it's going to be good. I'm just going to tell you now, we're doing fall cards. I won't make them all Halloween, but there will be a lot of fall. So mentally prepare yourselves now. If you have any requests, I did go back and check the video from Tuesday for comments. There weren't any requests, but there was a couple questions that I made sure to answer. So if you do have requests for techniques or questions about anything I've done, or you want to see something again, please leave me a comment. I will always go back and check. But yeah, otherwise, I hope that you guys have an absolutely amazing weekend. Yeah, thank you guys for coming to hang out as always. And until next week, guys, happy crafting.